What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with...
Look into my eye.
Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another Diablo 3 Season 33 video. This is going to be a Torment 16 key farming build for the Trag'Oul Nova Necromancer. I will talk a little bit about Innarius. I will talk a little bit about Legacy of Dreams. This is how I'm farming my keys at the moment. I'm sure as the season progresses, I get augments, I get gear. There might be some future swaps to make it a little bit faster. This is a very satisfying build to play because you press the Nova button and stuff goes bang. It automatically sucks stuff too as well, which is really nice. So before we do get going, as always guys, a thumbs up really does brighten my day. Now, if you're playing Necromancer on Season 33, you may as well, because the 4th cube slot is very, very powerful for us and it allows us to do fantastic things. Of course, Torment 16 this season around is going to be easier than ever because those shadow clones are going to pop out of pylons and they are going to blow stuff up, which is pretty nice. Now, in terms of the mechanics for the Trag'Oul set, all these Nova mechanics are the same, but the Trag'Ouls is the blood set, Innarius is the bone set, and Lod, of course, you have to rank the gem up. So I personally think that this is the easiest, laziest way to play it, and I just kind of like that. So the reason this is very lazy is because of the 2-piece on the Trag'Ouls, which says you get all the blood rush runes, nice, all the siphon blood runes, don't care, we're not going to use it, but our life spending abilities do not cost essence. Now that is different for Innarius because in Innarius you do spend your essence, so we can splat out our death novas with the blood rune and we don't use essence, so that's great, so we don't have to worry about essence recovery at all, which is nice. 4-piece we don't care about because we are using the gold wrap and Boon of the Hoarder. The 4-piece is essentially the toughness mechanic. Now you will be squishy as hell if you do not have gold because we're not going to actually heal at all during this build because again I'm lazy. I've got Devouring Aura on rather than something that is going to actually generate life for us. If you wish to unlock a different skill here, you would get the toughness and that would help you a little bit if your gold streak drops. 6-piece we get the 6,250% damage and the doubling of healing abilities. Now, straight out of the gate, Innarius has got a much higher modifier. It's 19,000, so that's like 3 times bigger. The reason I like Trag'Ouls anyway, even over Innarius, I mean Innarius is fun, I do enjoy playing it, don't get me wrong, but Innarius has got like the swirling bone effect and you have to tag everything for it to get hit. Now with the brig setup that's not so much of a big deal because stuff does get sucked to you, but you are limited to that like very much range in there. The Blood Nova will go out a little bit further, so really it's only Juggernaut I suppose that particularly gets affected or something that can't get pulled to you because there's like an object in the way or whatever. Innarius works absolutely fine for Torment 16 of course, but this is just kind of where I've settled on with the lazy version of it. Bloodtide Blade is essential in the cube, 400% death nova damage for every enemy within 25 yards, so you can stack it 10 times, it goes up to 4,000. Single target is only 400, but single target is still fine even with the spec that I've got here with the Trag'Oul's Corroded Fang, which again we'll talk about in a sec. Put the Shadow Hook in the cube, so double damage, more than double damage, because whenever we've got essence we divide it by 2. We're going to take the reservoir rune, so that's 480 points of essence that I've got, so that's 240 damage modifier with the Shadow Hook. You can get max essence on your scythe and on your offhand. You'll note I'm missing both, so I've got a lot more damage that I could get into the build. Don't really need it, but I could do, and as you'll see my sheet damage is pretty crap at only 1 million. For the weapon I've gone Trag'Oul's Corroded Fang, so whenever something is cursed, and we've got the Aura of Frailty cursing the entire screen, we get this up to 200% damage. So this is a really bad weapon because the damage roll at the top is no good. The modifier at the bottom is not particularly good either, it rolls all the way up to 200. Its only saving grace is that it is ancient. Earlier on, so like 300 Paragon, 400 Paragon, Scythe the Cycle, this obviously does more damage because the modifier on it is 400 as opposed to 200. So you might think, why would you take the Trag'Ouls? Well, the reason is that For Scyther Cycle to have its 400% modifier up, you need Bone Armor up, which is fine, not a problem. But when you activate the Nova, Scyther Cycle will reduce Bone Armor's duration by 4 seconds. For the Trag'Ouls version, that's not so bad, because you still obviously have your set 6-piece modifier, but on Innarius, if you're running Scyther Cycle and you overspam your Nova, then your Bone Armor drops, and then just you don't do any damage at all because your 6-piece modifier is no longer working for you. Now, if you don't feel like you've got enough damage, you can certainly put this on. Absolutely no problem. You could also work in Convention of Elements, Stone of Jordan. So the damage is absolutely fine. I think I just like Trag'Ouls because I then basically press Bone Armor whenever I want to activate my Crispins, and that's pretty much the only time I press it. Crispins does double damage and then up to triple the effect against hard crowd controls. So with the Brig's Wrath ring, this vortexes stuff to you because of our pickup radius. Then Bane of the Trapped will slow it as it gets sucked in, so you get always this double damage unless it's Juggernaut, and then you get the triple effect if you pop off your Bone Armor. You don't really need it, to be honest. It's basically, this is just for the Rift Guardian. If you make sure you've got your Bone Armor available, hit it with the Bone Armor, then hit it with the Nova. Even if it's standing on its own and you're only getting 400% out of the Blood-Tide Blade and you don't have a Shadow Clone to help you kill it, you'll still be absolutely fine. The Iron Rose, this offers 500% damage. You need to spend life in a 60-second consecutive period to get it up to its max stacks. So it's 50 per stack, 10 stacks, 500. One of the things that you obviously have to do is cast your Blood Nova, because we won't really be taking incoming damage because of the Gold Wrap, because of the Boon of the Hoarder, because of the shield that we pick up from the health globes in the Altar of Rites. We rarely take enough incoming damage, so you do have to kind of do the Blood Nova. That's why on Innarius you will still run the Blood Nova, because you want that 500% modifier. So even though Bone Nova is slightly better in terms of damage, unfortunately you have to lose life to get the Iron Rose to work for you. You don't need Siphon Blood at all in this setup, so we're not taking the Funerary pick, and we're not going to stop and actually cast the Siphon Blood. Again, it's a load more damage, so when we're doing Geos speeds you would, but for Torment 16 you don't need the damage and it's clunky, so it's much more fun to just simply press the Death Nova button and watch stuff go bang. The rest of it, Haunted Visions, of course, really difficult amulet to find, unfortunately. It is doesn't double the Simulacrums. Simulacrums now drain 1% of your max life, but they last forever. They can duplicate some skills, none of which really is of any interest to us. It's just basically the Sims last forever, so that guy won't disappear. The rest of it is move speed, so we've got the Wazekian, or Wazashane, never know how to say this, but it's the armor guards. When you blow something up, you move faster. You're always Death Novering, so you're always blowing stuff up, so a lot of move speed there. Krelms, probably the least important item in here. 25% run speed. It will lose this effect if you take damage, but with the shield, I do believe it's going to be up most of the time. I wouldn't probably bother taking a Gizzard Gem to make sure the shield is always up, but again, with some more, with augments or with some more Paragon, I'm sure that would be possible, and then you would definitely get the 25% run speed. We've got 97% on our Stuart's Greaves, goes up to 100. Again, this gives us really good move speed. So move speed on the boots, move speed on the belts, move speed on the bracers. I think that is all of the gear. Gold Wrap can go on the character, and then you've got a free armor slot to play with if you're not that bothered about the Krelms. And that's something that you can do. Again, you could then put the Stuart's Greaves in the cube. That would mean you don't have to find yourself a Ring of Royal Grandeur, or you could maybe put your Crispins in the cube for the perfect roll, take a Stone of Jordan. You could take something like that. A couple of guys in the clan play 90s with Echoing Fury, so that's something I'm gonna check out at some point for super speedy runs. So maybe that's where my T16 journey goes. Looking at the skills, Aura Frailty, brilliant. We don't have to press it. It just activates automatically. Death Nova, Blood Nova, we kind of have to take this because it's the blood set. Devouring Aura is just for proccing Fueled by Death. We don't care about Essence, and If you really wanted to make yourself a little bit tankier, maybe if you're playing hardcore and you were a little bit reluctant to rely on gold wrap or whatever, you could basically do Cannibalize for restoring health. That would activate your toughness part of the Trag'Ouls. You could do Satiated to increase your max life, I guess, as well, but Cannibalize is probably the way to go. Bone Armor, the stun on Dislocation is handy because it's just good for the Rift Guardian, so I probably wouldn't swap it. The only other rune of any interest is Harvest of Anguish for 10% more move speed, but that's going to be pretty de minimis at this point because we've got a lot of move speed anyway. Blood Rush, we get all the runes, so it does not matter which one you pick. And then Simulacrum Reservoir, giving us the double essence, which is more damage. Blood and Bone is certainly in consideration because you get 2 Simulacrums, so you get better AoE coverage, but with the kind of Vortex mechanic, I think the Reservoir is probably a little better. But again, at some point, you know, it's only day 2 of the season, day 3 of the season, so I could end up swapping to Blood and Bone just to make it slightly more efficient with bigger AoE coverage, provided we're blowing stuff up pretty fast. Overwhelming Essence is more damage because we don't spend any, but we do have the Shadow Hook. So again, if you're not taking a Shadow Hook, you have a free passive slot here. The Dark Reaping is pretty much how we are actually regenning our health, because obviously if we use 10% life on the Blood Nova, then we need to have some form of recovery. I have gone for Final Service because things do go wrong in Torment 16 sometimes, and then Fueled by Death, 30% move speed. Because of the automatic aura from the Devouring Aura, we just have 30% move speed pretty much as long as we're killing stuff. Follower is of course equipped with Canes for 25% extra key chance drop. Of course has an Avarice band to increase that pickup radius for us as we pick up the gold. Token of Invulnerability because I just seem to always pick the Templar. Nems, Flavour of Time, Broken Crown, all pretty standard stuff. Again, at some point you could look to work in the gloves of worship as well, but you'd have to take off Oculus or Avarice to work in a Rogue, or you'd have to take off Broken Crown, I think, and I don't like that. I never run dry on DB, so I've not sorted any Death's Breath stuff out. And then we're going down the left and then onto the right for the Cheat Death is pretty much the most important thing. Heal comes in handy sometimes as well. So that is the skills, that is the build. Lots of fun to play. Pretty easy to farm these keys. Lots of things you could do. You could always take a Guardian set. That's what we're doing in the GR version. Guardians. And then, of course, Siphon Blood with the Mantle of Channeling. I might do a build on guide on that later. I'm not sure whether to do Trag'Ouls or whether to do Legacy of Dreams. I've got enough augment gems to start augmenting stuff. I'm just kind of waiting on that. You don't need a crafted primal, of course, for Torment 16. I have been using this one for the runs in GRs. Again, I haven't bothered rolling it as of yet, but it is, obviously handy to make it a primal weapon. Right, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Hope you're enjoying Season 33. I've been the Fourth Casual. Take it easy, guys. Peace.